ride the cable cars. Yeah,
Yes.
you ride the cable cars when the cloud looks. You go through the clouds,
Right.
up and above it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, we didn't. Unfortunately, we did the cable cars, but we was completely clear that day, which I was sort of mildly disappointed with. Slacks was okay because he's like, I can see everything. This is great with a glass floor.
Yep.
So of course, 4 of us in there. And what did Sir Action Slacks do in the cable car?
He starts jumping.
Of course he does.
Wait, what?
What else is he going to do in a cable car with a glass floor? Do you not have the glass floor one?
Oh, I had the glass floor.
Yeah.
I didn't have Slacks trying to murder me.
He starts
Right.
jumping.
I don't think he was trying to murder us. I think he was.
I saw your little snow globe pitch.
Yeah, actually,
it makes you look very happy.
Can we get a close up of this? Is that possible? Can I hold that there and we can
Focus.
Focus. Look at that.
Look at the
Look at that.
memories.
It's glorious. That is me, Pimp, Odie Pixel, and Sir Action Slacks in a cable car, about to die. I mean, about to go down the mountain. And it's actually look. Hold on, it does work. There we go. Look, it's a snow globe. Have you ever seen something so terrible? I mean, about to go down the mountain.
Slacks
And it's
likes it.
actually-
That's probably the reason why.
He put it on the desk. He's like, that's for you guys to have on the desk. There we go. Look, it's a
That's his
snow
idea
globe.
of meaningful
Have you
Christmas.
ever seen
That's
something
actually-
so
no, he's
terrible?
actually
I mean, about to go down the
his
mountain.
future wife
Slacks
on the
likes
morning
it.
of their
That's
marriage.
probably the reason why.
He put it on the desk. He's like,
That's
that's
a
for
really
you guys to
bad
have on the
gift.
desk. It's
Good
a
luck.
really bad gift. yes.
That's almost like giving like a bread maker or something. Like it's just
Probably
useless.
worse. Probably worse. But yeah, I mean, genuinely, we really enjoyed our day. We did the haunted house. Obviously, we saw the boys from DC doing the haunted house yesterday as well. We went to Ripley's, believe it or not.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Did you do Snowland though?
No, did you?
I didn't want to get to come here with Zoe previously, and we did that little fun video
Yeah.
thing, and it
Promos.
was a normal day in Europe,
Yeah.
walking through Snowland.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, but I mean, I've really enjoyed being here. It's an incredible resort area as well. So, Cap, what have you enjoyed over the last few days?
Good Dota. I didn't go out much.
You're so boring. Gods, come on.
I'm with Kat. I mean, I haven't gone out too much. I flew in yesterday at 6 in the morning, so I enjoyed arriving at 6 in the morning, like driving up, already in my suit jacket straight from the airport. I was like, all right, I'm ready for some Dota. What happened yesterday, guys? Fill me in on everything. And
Yeah, I mean,
You had that terrible excuse of having to go to a wedding or something.
Yeah,
Come on.
I don't know. Very inconvenient, my family.
Very,
Why-
very inconvenient.
I get
family.
married. Who does
Absolutely terrible.
Paul, you're telling me that we're way up in the sky, but honestly,
Yeah.
that was kind of news to me. I mean, I saw the clouds and everything.
Did you
but
slept on the way from the
I
airport?
slept the whole the way through.
How could
I did not
No
sleep
idea how you
at
did
all on the actual flights. So the moment I got in that shuttle, I just passed out. And next thing you know, I woke up at the hotel. So I was just like,
My driver was doing like an F1 audition. He was trying to like go
Yeah, I
up the
was
mountain
doing-
as fast as
Yep.
possible, weaving between all 3 lanes. I was like, what? I
No.
can't even see 2 meters ahead of me. Like,
Trust me, since F1 came to Malaysia at Sepang,
Yeah.
everyone is now a Formula 1 driver in Malaysia.
okay.
All of them. And they're brilliant as well. We are headed towards our draft, of course. We're still trying to get up and running, but until we get there, let's update you. If you have missed any of the action over the last couple of days, it's time to recap. We'll see you soon.
That's right, we're finally underway. Our game is about to start. VP versus Digital Chaos. Finally figured out how to get those lobbies started. Thank you, Valve.
Yes!
Ready to go.
All right.
There we go. Feel the hype. Feel it come. And finally, we can do the draft. What a surprise. Joe Ranger banned out in the first phase.
That is a surprise, though. VP, I mean, they're obviously a team that runs the draft strats, but it hasn't been their go-to for this tournament specifically. They have been running the Underlord, though, and that's been, I think, more and more hotly contested pick as we've gone further and further through this tournament.
DC, it's also kind of surprising that they banned away the Rubik, right? Because they've been picking a lot more Rubik in this tournament, and VP a bit less, right? So, don't know what their answer is going to be versus Underlord, but you know, like, DC, they didn't just leave that hero out. They just as easily could have banned Underlord instead of Rubik. So, they obviously have a game plan here, but I'm not sure, like, what do you think the game plan is versus an Underlord?
Probably roam a lot, win the lanes, take advantage of the fact that Underlord isn't a playmaker. Most offlaners you think have like some ganking roam potential. He's kind of in that category with the even worse than the Darkseid, because Darkseid can do these like dual lanes that really put pressure on Underlord. You kind of can dual lane, but it's just not as powerful. So I think the idea is you want to really punish the laning stage. With the Underlord, the idea is you want a 5-man push. So like Underlord, Luna, Dragon Knight if it's there, get some just big 5-man Death Ball unit that is going to be the VP style.
Shadow Demon preemptively picked up, I guess, in some ways. Like, Shadow Demon's a really good setup for Sand King, so Sand King can potentially be a 4 position now. And then it's also, I guess, a kind of hindrance to the Luna that was picked up by VP eventually in that second. So
I'm just wondering if Digital Chaos, like, where does their damage really start coming from? Right now, we're looking at a lot of magical to come. You've got a little bit of stun and control, but up against the Luna, up against the Underlord, Underlord's going to cause real issues if they try and take a 5-on-5 fight. Pit makes it almost impossible to maneuver.
yeah, Luna was probably one of the better heroes for VP to be able to have with this Underlord, right? Because we're talking about the 5-man, and like Luna's able to 5-man, but she's also able to push out waves really efficiently with her illusions. So you can still control the side lanes to some extent while keeping your 5-man vigil.
Yeah, I don't think even VP care. Like, when you pick a Luna also into the SD, it's like, well, okay, well, we mentioned that before when we got to mention everything we had. But it was the fact the SD just can't really reach the Luna. So I'm wondering if Digital Chaos is thinking of a different style of combination to run with the SD. Like, if that is going to be a 4-position SK, what are you getting in return? What combos up with those two supports?
A lot of things, like you can run the mid Mirana as a possibility, of course, with like a roaming SD, easy set for the arrow, something that Weeha can easily play. Pretty good against like the push, just to have all that AoE damage to clear things out as well and just burst down a target at the start of the fight. But I imagine, as kind of said, DC want to have a strong early game, get some strong laning heroes here, potentially even go aggro against that Luna. There's a lot of heroes that you could theoretically 1v1 against an Underlord. It's not a bad match for a lot of people, including a Sand King. Like, putting Sand King 1v1 against an Underlord is fantastic for Sand King, and that's something I've seen DC do a few times, where they give Moon these 1v1 lanes, and he's really good when he gets like a Sand King in a melee 1v1 type scenario.
Is that when we toss up the option then that Underlord actually pushes to a 4 roll? And you don't actually run that, because if that is what Digital Chaos is going to do, and they might flag it a little bit more in their draft, you can still switch out the Underlord in your 5th pick.
What did you think about the 4-position Underlord? I was a little bit skeptical of it. I'm not sure if that can actually be a frequent role for the Underlord today.
I'd seen it once or twice in DPL before that, and it was always like kind of so hit or miss. Like, I prefer seeing more farm priority on it. I don't think it's a natural dual lane in the. Then I'd see it before as like a 4-position Underlord in the off lane with like a Darkseer or something. So it was kind of like alright, but not great.
That's one of those other heroes I was looking to see as a combination with the SD. So fitting in the Leshrac gives you that element of push. We have seen that floating around in the 4 roll, but can you actually run it in the 2? We wanted to look very closely at how DC and VP would actually battle it out. Like, where do you throw in this Lesh now?
DC will absolutely run it as a 4-position.
Has to be 4?
Yeah, I think Leshrac as a 2-position doesn't work anymore, but Leshrac as a 4-position is actually very strong. It seems like DC's plan is just to overwhelm Virtus.Pro with the amount of teamfight damage that they're able to output, which is kind of interesting. I think that another hero they can probably get is something like the Lifestealer. It couples with the Sand King pretty well and can get on top of these heroes. I think they need a brawling, because the problem with Underlord is also the fact that he's very good versus some of the split pushing agility heroes, right? Because of his natural, like, the aura. right? That's really tough for a lot of those damage dealers to be able to deal with. So maybe you just need like an overwhelming team fighter brawler like Sven or Ursa, Lifestealer. Who else?
Not an Ursa.
Jug.
Oh yeah, there's still Jug. Wow,
So went deep. Normally we're seeing first
Yeah.
pick Jug. We talked about being like a key hero to perhaps run because it's one of those, like for perhaps VP, because it is a kind of at least a bit of those ganks. It's a great matchup because, as Kat mentioned, DC just keep trying to overwhelm them with all this teamfight AoE damage, and every pick VP's doing is like, well, they're getting more teamfight AoE damage, let's get more teamfight AoE sustained. Let's get the Witch Doctor with the Voodoo Restoration. Now let's throw in a Chen where we've got heals as well as the potential auras from the Granite Golem. You get the armor aura from the Black Dragon as well. They're going all in on this 5-man push. Probably see something like a DK ban here just because that would be like the final kind of piece of the puzzle if you want to go completely all in. But there's other options that work just fine. You have enough push as it is.
Do you think, like, I was kind of looking at it, Jug could have actually fit for Virtus.Pro as a third pick, right? But if they would have had all 3 cores, 1, 2, 3, and that kind of is iffy to do that in a draft. Do you think that's the only reason, right? Because Jug would have fit because you deal with the Shadow Demon really well. His setup doesn't actually work against you. You get some extra, like, huge amount of sustain for these heroes with the Healing Ward.
Really good building hitter as well. Like you can just go on the high ground, just Blade Fury, hit the tower as you please.
But now you've got a defensive Juggernaut. You've got Virtus.Pro that's going to be forcing the issue. The only thing VP is missing from this draft is almost a Pugner just to force down the lanes.
I think they want something with a bit more survivability. Like you can't go squishy for your mid lane. The Jug would have been good. The Dragon Knight would have been good.
Razor or Viper, maybe? They haven't been invoked for this tournament, but they do fit the bill, which is a hero that's strong versus Juggernaut is relatively tanky and it's just kind of like a lane controller.
The other hero there on Yese is the Invoker, which I think isn't too bad as well for a kind of push strat. It's a bit tankier. You go like just going for like the Ags and all that. You get the double forward spirits. The Alacrity on the Luna is really good. So
he's really disruptive to all these casters that they have in the first 3 pickups.
So wouldn't be completely thrown off by that, but I think survivability is definitely a key component for their mid hero, since that's going to kind of be the frontliner as well when you're pushing.
Are DC planning on picking up
No Invoker
in their 5th pick, a hero that is able to, maybe they're going to run like a 4-man fighting style, right? And then they have a little bit more of a farmer for their last pick. That would be a way for them to be able to ensure that they're just not all in focused on, okay, we have to win these team fights against a very strong sustain lineup of Virtus.Pro. Like that gives you very little options. If you don't win those mid-game team fights, you probably lost the game.
The other thing you can look to do is just say, we can crush these lanes. They're going to have a Chen in the jungle. We can just pick up another hero and look to win all 3 lanes. If you win all 3 lanes, you're not too worried about those mid-game team fights because VP are going to just be so far behind on items. They would have lost maybe 2 or 3 towers. You've got a Leshrac, you've got a Jug, you've got good heroes to actually take early tier 1. So you can kind of get far enough ahead that you're not worried about the fact that VP are putting together this scary 5-man unit. They may not get a good timing on the mech on the Underlord or the Ag Scepter on the Chen if you put pressure onto them.
To be honest, I was expecting VP to pick up their last one a lot quicker than they are. Thinking there was some kind of like, I don't want to say pocket strat, but they definitely had something definitely in mind. And with the DK being banned out, you're calling it, looks like it's on a bit of a slower spanner in the works.
They may just be discussing like some early game rotation still. Often you'll like wait for the last couple of reserves time seconds just to discuss every single possibility, but...
You know, mobile heroes actually have a pretty free game here for DC. If you look at the lockdown that Virtus.Pro has, they've got Witch Doctor cast pretty bad. Underlord has his Ensnare with the Pit of Malice, but like Storm Spirit, for example, has a pretty free game here. If they want to be more fight-oriented, Queen of Pain. Tiny puts a spanner in those works, though.
I love the grin that instantly comes with the Tiny pick, both from the crowd as well as the VP players.
Why Tiny? That's what I mean, it has some push when you hit the Ag Scepter, but it's definitely
the Tiny's going to be the other option, though, right? He's the roaming ganker. He's the guy that gets that early initiation item and just starts to pop the backline supports.
Yeah, so he's the initiator, really. That's something which you're running a push strat. You don't just want 5 heroes that give you heals and push. You want to have that one hero that catches. Often you'll see like Bat Riders put into a pushing strat just because you can get a pick off and then it's a lot easier to push towers when your opponents can't defend them. So the idea of the Tiny is that if heroes are trying to defend the towers, he can blink in, get that burst damage out, and take a pick off and start things off in a 5v4 setting.
You see, I don't know if you were watching the bottom right-hand corner, but Moon was very animated then. Super animated. Pointing at the screen, shouting at his teammates.
Like, this is the hero. This is the hero
Yeah.
that will actually be able to stop the VP push. Give
He was adamant.
good counter push if they can find it.
Yeah, he's
Is Alchemist
absolutely
good
adamant.
here?
That.
Is Alchemist any good here? Because they slowed down their lineup a bit with this tiny pickup. Like it's a anchor.
With
and
the Chen, you can have real issues controlling up your own jungle and keeping the farm up. VP will just invade you.
I quite like the Alchemist idea. I think you win the other side lanes really hard. You can put Sankey one against Underlord, you can aggro tri-lane. The laning stage, to me, DC have a big advantage, and that's where Alchemist should have a pretty good time. The Chen rotations with a tiny mid could be a bit problematic, but when the 5-man push comes, I think Alchemist is going to be able to get a decent amount of items. But
gonna go
more
for
team
swap.
fight.
I'm very
damage.
surprised they committed to this Queen of Pain.
Really?
I even mentioned like the Storm Spirit ahead of the Queen of Pain because Queen of Pain feels like good in this matchup, but I really thought that DC would focus on being able to have a hero that would be able to scale. They're very much focused on winning the mid-game engagements against VP. They're not going to play this slow.
The Queen of Pain does scale better the late game with some
True.
of the new item pickups, the spell lifesteal that you can go this like Octarine late game blade mail build. I think the hero is can be a late game carry as well.
Yeah, but in comparison to other heroes like Storm Spirit, right? It's like it doesn't scale nearly as well.
Okay, thank you very much, all three of you. We'll hear from them, of course, at the end of Game 1. Thank you for your patience as we've fixed all of the issues, and we'll now head into our first game of the day. Make some noise for your commentary team. Merlini and ODPixel.
Thank you very much, Red Eye. Indeed, we're getting ready for the first game of the day now. Virtus.Pro up against DC. The draft's complete, Ben. VP finishing off with the Tiny, something a little bit different, and DC, of course, getting the Queen of Pain, something that we know is very, very strong when played correctly on the patch, and if anyone's going to do it right, it's going to be we.
Yeah, I like the Queen of Pain. I think it gives him a lot of AoE to deal with the Chen creeps. Very, very nice for the early team fights as well.
Overall, would you say there's a draft that you do prefer?
I think both have their different strengths. I don't see one as overwhelmingly stronger than the other. I think that VP clearly have way better push, and DC have a better team fight. So about even, I would say.
Saxa getting a nice deep sentry there in to block that camp on this top lane.
I wonder if they're going to do anything strange with the Tiny. We've seen a lot of like creep pulling with Earth Spirit, with Pudge, and Tiny is one of the few other heroes that can pull a big camp, although it is played by no one, so unlikely.
And in that mid lane matchup, I mean, Tiny obviously going up against the potential of this Queen of Pain. Does he need backup? Are we going to see kind of a support sit mid on the side of VP to help out no one in the early stages?
That's the good thing about having a Chen. You can just send in a Satyr, and that kind of wins your lane. Even a Wildkin in the back, Quap has no way to stop the channeling tornado. So you can just be a huge nuisance as a Chen if he has a good creep. Centaur, Hellbear Smasher, not as useful, I would say. Neither is a Netter. So let's see what Chen creep he gets first.
We're going to see to start both teams just securing their own bounty rings, but it seems to be kind of the common thing. It seems rarer that people decide to go aggressively and contest a rune spot. Does that surprise you, or is it just much safer for both teams to keep to themselves when the 4 bounties spawn?
They're both very well fortified. It's not like the old bounty runes where you have to go into the river. You're not looking downhill. You have to go uphill blind generally, unless you set up a observer ward beforehand. I think that it would have been probably more likely for a Radiant to do so because they have mass stun lock at level 1, but content just getting 2.
The lanes as it is going to be, it's going to be this aggressive formation coming out from DC. It's Juggernaut, Shadow Demon, and of course Leshrac combo at the moment, looking to put pressure onto Ramses' Luna. This is going to leave this 1v1 down bottom. Moon on the Sand King, Pasha on the Underlord. This kind of matchup, obviously Sand King good against melee heroes. Is he good enough to be able to zone out an Underlord? Is Underlord just too tanky?
I think he can definitely do a lot of damage versus the Underlord. The Atrophy Aura isn't going to be that useful versus the Mass Caustic, so he should come out ahead as it goes later.
On top lane, bit of an opening here onto Ramses. In fact, with the Blade Fury doing an insane amount of damage, and the backup's not there for the Luna. Rezo, playing this game under the tag of Bulba, has been able to claim first blood in this top lane. And I guess that's the problem with it, this kind of dual lane between the two of them. There's not a lot Solo can do to stop that kind of play happening.
Yeah, they really need the Chen to have a big impact with the creep. He has a Wild Wing River, but they can easily stop it with a Split Earth.
Oh, mid lane, no one. I mean, that dagger, the dagger spam has put him incredibly low. In fact, does he... Oh, it's close. Yeah, he's going to have to salve up there just to keep himself alive from the last tick. So that is going to be a salve down the drain for no one. Will save his life. But the Shrine will have to be touched upon at this stage as well. CS-wise in the mid lane, 7 for 3 for Weeha, 6 for 1. So no one, certainly not falling behind. But as we can see, Weeha just putting the pressure on and making it just a little bit more difficult for no one to feel comfortable coming to lane. Top lane, meanwhile, again, another initiation onto Ramses. The Voodoo Restoration isn't going to be enough. They'll lose a hero. There'll be a stun onto Misery, in fact, from the creep here as Lil comes in with the Centaur rotation, but they can't finish off the kill in return. So again, I mean, this safe lane's getting crushed, man. They've lost their safe lane carry 2 times in 2 minutes.
A lot of it is because of the creep. If he gets a Satyr, I think the lane becomes completely different, but because he had a Wild Wing Ripper and then a Centaur, it's just not as useful. You just need to be able to harass him away. And we really haven't seen this too much from any team in this tournament. It's just pressuring the Luna very early before she can even group up with your team. And I like this approach that DC are taking. Ramses is struggling. We haven't really seen him have a bad game yet, and this could be the start of one.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be a way of dealing with him, as we can see, sitting 3-2 CS at the moment. And I guess this is the problem. You've got this pressure on the top lane from this tri lane. You've got this matchup in the mid lane where the Tiny is having the aggression of Weeha's Quap. But all things considered, you have got to respect the fact that still no one, even though he's taking the damage with the regen, he is able to keep himself in lane and on par, if not just ahead of the CS of Weeha.
Pasha's crushing in CS. Is the 124 damage from the Atrophy Aura. But looks like DC are winning at least 2 of their lanes, and quite handily, I might say.
So we've got just some slight pauses. Hopefully we'll be able to get ourselves back on smoothly. It looks already we are able to get the game back underway.
Keep that caps lock on, Ramses.
But this bottom lane, Ben, as you said, the fact that with the Atrophy Aura, the Underlord was able to get as much as he was. Are you a little bit surprised that with the Caustic, he wasn't harassed out earlier?
I just haven't seen that much of Underlord, especially in one-on-one situations, so haven't expected him to come out this far ahead.
Pasha's certainly having a good time, and we have seen him already do it this tournament. Definitely a hero that he's proving to be very, very comfortable on. Top lane farm, with the pressure that they have been putting on. It's not like Rezo's getting an insane amount of CS. He has 10 himself, but it still is more than what Ramses has got. They do have to be very, very careful. Lil just permanently sitting up on the top lane. In fact, Saxa taking a cast and a Lucid Beam to the head. Falls incredibly low. Can they get the clapping from the Smasher? They can't quite get in range. In fact, DC, they're the ones turning back round, looking to go aggressive themselves. Solo, falling low. Voodoo Restoration again is not going to be able to save him. Ramses, can he actually finish off Misery here? He's trying to chase him down the river. Misery, oh, he hides in the tree line, gets the stun to make sure that Ramses didn't have the vision for the Lucid Beam. Misery duking out a potential death. He may still be in trouble. Can he get his way out? No, no one's there. We'll finish him off. But a sweet little play there from Misery, just making it that little harder for Ramses to get the kill.
Yeah, Ramses also paused. He's like, what? Wasn't expecting that fog there. If he had expected it, he could have just kept moving to the right, and he wouldn't have gained that much distance. But that was a nice little 10 seconds created by Misery.
Also very nice for no one, of course, just being able to get out of the lane, get a kill. And still that mid lane matchup, he's doing very well, all things considered. It's neck on neck, 23 for 4, 23 for 3. Both heroes getting a lot from the mid lane.
Yeah, he also got the Arcane Rune, so that will certainly help out. I think they might have used both shrines for him, actually, on the Tiny.
Actually, yeah, the bottom shrine's down as well. So looks like that's the case. Top shrine still available for the side of DC, which is very, very fortunate, considering they are running this aggressive tri-lane up top. So
now Chen's 2 creeps are a Dark Troll and an Alpha Wolf. Alpha Wolf, not the best partner this early. The percentage-based damage just does not offer that much, but he will want to smoke. If they lead in with a net, should be an easy combo. He has 240 at will.
Let's see if we is prepared for this one at the moment. Lil, can he close this gap? Hiding just the other side of the tree line at the moment.
It's a really tough gank. They could potentially like toss the troll onto
they know that something's up. They know that Lil's off the map. They've actually moved their supports over towards the mid lane. Try for kind of a frustration avalanche. It won't clip onto Wheat. And they won't be able to find the gank that they were looking for. Misery and Saxa, as I said, were in position, ready to counter any play as well.
And Quap would have potentially turned around on them too. If, let's say, the Leshrac got a stun. He had Quap ult up. So I said not to press that. But the Chen is really not really doing anything in the early game. The top lane has just been feeding a lot of kills.
Let's see if they can get Bob. I mean, Rezo, yeah, he's got the Blade Fury and a TB if he needed it. It's very hard for these heroes, it seems at this stage as well, to get a gank off. I mean, we are with his positioning and the reads from the map of DC, and the fact that top lane I mean, Juggernaut, how are you catching out this hero? Are you kind of just waiting on no one to pick up kind of a blink dagger or something that's going to allow you to turn these around? And well, talking about no one, could be in a little bit of trouble here. Moon setting up with her first stun, then moving Misery and Weehaw, and Weehaw jumps forward. And Sonic Wave and a stun there from Misery to finish off the Tiny.
We wasn't sure if he wanted to commit the ultimate there, but better safe than sorry, especially on that core Tiny. And back to your earlier question about how do they gank people, they actually just, if they can't kill people, they just need to make sure that they can farm, and most of that is keeping eyes on the supports, making sure that it's just the Juggernaut alone up top versus the Luna. If they can make sure that the supports are not there, then Chen can just farm, get his level 6 and 7, and start pressuring towers and apply pressure that way as opposed to killing heroes.
And Ramsey still with a fair bit of catching up that he needs to do. Only 17 CS, 7 minutes in here on the top lane. So they can find a kill though. Bit of a setup here onto Saxo. He'll disrupt himself, try and walk it off. In fact, the Lucent Beam actually went for the illusion. We'll finally get him with a nuke from Lil. So they do manage to take a support kill there. Get Ramses involved in a little bit of action, but they certainly need a fair bit more of that to recover from this dodgy top lane.
Yeah, Rezo's the only one that's kind of safe up there on his own. Looks like someone TPing in perhaps a Shrine. Shrine Party.
There we go, Shrine into Smoke Party. It's all happening here for DC.
Oh, he could lose both of his creeps here. Juggernaut just hit level 6. He has enough stick charges to
It looks like they're going to go for the mid lane gank though instead. So DC.
It's right at the 8-minute mark though, so he's going to head south towards the rune. They're going to have to wait a little bit for him to come back, but there's a lot of heroes missing on the map. Underlord has surely called that Sand King's missing, and something funny.
No one's got an invis as well, so this is perfect really against the smoke. So all that time essentially wasted. TP's coming in immediately, but in fact, Moon was there with the sun straight up onto Solo. Misery focusing on him as well. Can they finish him off? He's been tossed into the midst of it all. Blinks back out. Solo will survive with a Voodoo Restoration. So no one to die in this mid skirmish. Both teams coming in with the backup.
They had a sentry ward in mid, DC did, so they put no one under as they went onto the Witch Doctor. But 2 of the heroes were on a Witch Doctor, 2 of the heroes were on a Tiny. Didn't have enough burst for the kill. And we had already committed his ultimate earlier on that Tiny.
So top lane, going good for DC. Mid lane a little closer. This bottom lane, you look towards Pasha's farm. He is top of the CS board at the moment. So this Underlord, he is getting a lot of farm. I mean, how does this kind of transpire into what it can offer to the team? Are we going to see 9 Pasha turn up and to the top lane, try and make something happen against the Jug? What can he achieve with this good early farm?
I think the CS is a little bit misleading because he's done a lot of neutrals with the Firestorm.
Looks like we have got a bit of an issue there on the main screen. Now, it's fixed. There was no issue. We're back in. DC now to put the pressure onto the mid lane. As at the same time, bottom lane looks like, we're going to have a bit of a go-in from Moon. Went in with the epicenter onto Pasha.
And it's close.
Not going to be enough damage. We'll force him to use the Dark Rip, but Pasha, he's almost certainly fine with that. He keeps his life intact. Mid lane, Weehaw was able to finish off the tower. More gold into the bank of this Queen of Pain. And in fact, a smoke.
VP are probably feeling pretty desperate right now. I saw in the camera shot they weren't looking too great. Probably because they expected this early game to go a lot better for them. Like Luna's not really in that position where she has Lance and can start sieging towers. She doesn't have level 7 yet. She just hit level 7.
Certainly proving to be a very tough game for Ramses.
Yeah, and they're losing towers too. It's not only that they aren't able to push themselves, it's that the Leshrac is level 5 with level 3 in Edict and already took down mid tower.
To be careful as well from the potential of Weehaw's movements as Sonic Wave is back online. Bottom lane now going to be sending no one. And Solo down towards maybe trying to put a bit of pressure on to Moon Sand King. Can they actually catch him out there? That is the question.
They need to start off with the root.
They have this DD rune on Tiny. So if they can get a lockdown, they will have the damage. But Moon's playing it safe. And we'll see it all, of course, with this Dire Observer ward behind the tower. They know he's headed back into the trees.
But he's staying close to the south side, and it's daytime, so it's really difficult to get him unless he actually just kind of walks into them. And Chen's been farming for a decent amount of time, but he's almost level 7 with his HOD. I think he actually just got his Dominator, so now he's actually going to have a lot of creeps and can offer a lot more firepower for his team.
And Moon has got the Blink Dagger complete as well. So they have to be careful here, VP, of the weather they're pushing. Already backing up. They see that the backups come in for DC, and they do indeed choose to avoid this fight. Mid lane, Ramses continuously just trying to find wherever he can on the lanes to find that farm, to catch himself back up in this game.
It's about time for VP to group up, but their lanes are just pushed out so far.
Good toss here onto Resolution to cancel the TP, of course, through the Magic Immunity. TP's coming through this time from VP. Bulba. Rezo, can he run himself away with a healing ward? No, he cannot. The combo there from No One to pick up a kill. At the same time, bottom lane, DC making a bit of a go onto Pasha. He'll drop down the pit. Can they turn this around? They will claim 1 kill in return. Doesn't look like they can get anything else, though. Moon and Saxa will back off. So they get the kill that they were after on the bottom. But they do end up losing Rezo on the top lane in return. Moon coming back in onto Lil. Weehar's there as well. Okay, they should be able to pick this one as well. Weehar maybe thinking if he could hold onto the Sonic Wave, but again, no messing from the man. Just make sure he secures himself the kill.
Unfortunately, there's no Leshrac here to edict down the tower, so it's going to take him a little bit longer than normal. Lil can maybe stall up a little bit with his golem. They're trying to do the best they can with the disruption illusions, but those will only last for so long.
What do you think of Weehar's build as well this game, going treads straight into the Aghanims?
I think HP is really good for the type of team fight that they're going for. Like, when you're versus a Tiny, you can't go a glass cannon build sitting on Intres sometimes with like an Orchid. You'll just die instantly. And Co-op fell out of favor last patch because she was one of those heroes where you'd win your lane, you get a lot of kills in the early game, but then if you died once, it just seemed like you wasted your first 20-25 minutes of the game, and it's just way too high risk. But if you don't die and you keep snowballing, keep getting HP, keep accruing gold, then you can be a bigger late game threat. And this was before her talent changes, and her talent changes that are actually pretty nice, especially her 25. 70% spell lifesteal.
Certainly if we get to that point of the game, it's going to play a major factor. Bottom lane, no one, and the side of VP were able to finish off the tower. Also putting Pasha closer and closer to finishing that mech, something that's going to be very key with more and more Sonic Waves being thrown out, just some sort of heal to be able to offset that burst damage.
Yeah, they need the level 12 on the Sand King if they want to burst through this mech. He's very close to his level 2 Epicenter. I think it's one of the biggest upgrades in ult in terms of actually being able to kill people in a team fight. You often see just a few people way too low, and you wish you had that level 2 ultimate.
Bottom lane's eyes are onto the Moon Sand King. Immediate jump in from No One. Backups there from Pasha. Can Moon play his way out of this one? Lil coming in with a Centaur, but a quick Sandstorm Duke and a blink out from Moon. Gets him back to safety. And VP just can't seem to get a grip on him.
It just never seems like he has the right creeps. If he had like a troll there, it would have been much easier because Root can't blink. Should have been an easy kill for them to follow up, but he just, luck is not with him this game.
Pressure really being put on that top lane. Ramses still trying as he might to catch up with the farm. In terms of the difference between him and Resolution, it's about 1,200, so it is still a gap that can be recovered. You know, get yourself a couple of big kills or a few minutes of free farm.
Jug's much more hardy in the team fights, though. He can also push out a little bit further. Although he did die that one time, usually Spin TP is going to be good enough for him to get away. The Luna, you're almost always going to focus the Luna with your ultimates, like the Epicenter Burrow Strike. That's who you want to hit. Same with the Sonic Wave. So I think that like Luna needs to be a little bit further ahead than the Juggernaut in this situation. Luna's hard to come back with. I guess you can stack Ancients a lot, which we may see with the second Hamadam.
There we go, Moon straight in, Burrow Strike, Epicenter. Ramses caught very far away from his team. The hand of God, in fact, in the Eclipse as well. He tries to turn, but Moon just sits there under the Sandstorm. Ramses will go for the TP out and does manage to save his life. So will escape.
He didn't follow him into the trees there. He lost a lot of damage from his Epicenter by not being in melee range. But not sure if it would have been enough. I guess he wanted to kill the Dark Rift. Creep.
The back of this, VP, they will be able to claim a kill in return. They find no one. Getting the quick combo onto Saxa.
Yep, the Blink Dagger at Tiny at play here. He had a rough start, but with Blink Dagger, it's very easy to come back in kills. And now all the supports probably need some sort of HP item or Glimmer Cape.
Moon jumping in. Weehar's looking to set up for the Sonic Wave. Gets a good 3-man, but immediately the mech comes out in return. Voodoo Restoration for Solo, healing up the side, but now Solo's out. Robocop, Moon falling down. He's out of this one. The Omni Slash comes through from Rezo. Chops down a second. They found 2 on the side of VP, but VP, they still want to fight. No one comes in again with the combo. Takes down Misery. Weehar should be able to blink out to the side. Saxa, he still wants to fight. Demonic Purge onto No One. Rezo coming in with a Blade Fury. They'll chop down one. He flies up the helicopter Juggernaut. Rezo, can he get out? The micro from Lil. The stunts from the mini golems. It's not enough damage, but the Firestorm is. Pasha lays down the Wrath and takes him out, and they may be able to find Saxo as well. The last remaining survivor here. This damage with that built-up atrophy aura just chunking through the Shadow Demon. He'll try and juke it down in the tree line. He's not going to make it, but can the illusions kill Ramses? He's being chased down here, and he tries to maybe go for a glaive bounce, but it's not going to reach him. So they get away with that one, as VP effectively wiping the board there, knocking all of DC out of it. They do lose a few casualties themselves, but that was a huge fight for them, Ben. They keep Ramses alive.
And you mentioned the quad build earlier, and that's one of the trade-offs. They didn't actually have enough damage for that fight. I guess there's not really that many damage items that you can get that early. Perhaps a Veil, maybe an Orchid, I suppose, but I don't think he'd have enough gold for that. But they just lacked a little bit of damage, maybe like 10-15% more damage, than they would have been able to get the kill on all those heroes through the Atrophy Aura. And again, it's like the Underlord. He's just so annoying with his Atrophy Aura, with the mech. Just no one ever seems to die. And now Ramses has recovered. I would say after that fight,
Absolutely huge fight.
yeah, he's like bigger than the Juggernaut. Juggernaut ended up dying, and he had an Ancient Stack to work with. So now he's in a good spot where he can be a big threat.
I mean, how do you deal with kind of this Underlord play in these team fights? We saw just then how much Pasha can offer in terms of just control and damage, and how hard it is for the side of DC to actually take him down. I mean, it feels like they've just got to commit all 5 heroes onto him if they want to have a chance of bringing him down at this stage, because he's just too tanky.
I think they need a Veil probably on the Leshrac, but because of the tiny, Leshrac is actually forced to go for this Glimmer Cape. So they try to counter in the draft with mass magic damage and also some damage amplification perhaps with the Shadow Demon and his Soul Catcher. However, they just don't have enough levels. I don't know if everyone was level 12 at that point. I know that Sand King was, but just need a little bit higher levels, a little bit more ultimate, just a little bit more damage.
Already looking to go for another push in on this mid lane. VP ready to go up to the high ground. DC do have all ults at the ready. We'll see if Moon can find a big jump in. He's in the tree line.
Yeah, this is a very risky push for them. Maybe if they had the pipe completed on the Underlord, he's not that far away, but he does not have it right now, and that's a really good position for DC to fight.
Bottom lane, Rezo. Lining up Ramses. Just kind of tease around with each other. In fact, Ramses moving forward a bit aggressively. Lil has got that Centaur down as well. In fact, is that Ramses, in fact, with his helmet? Could be. So oh no, sorry, it's Rezo's, of course. Rezo just kind of holding the space behind him, making sure no one was chasing him down. 9 to 10 at the moment. I mean, do you feel that there's a team that is in a clearly better position? Or?
I think I would favor VP's position right now. I think the Tiny poses a big threat. None of the heroes can really split push that effectively because of the threat of Tiny. He's also going for the Silver Edge, as we see in his quick buy, so he can pick off additional heroes and have additional burst. So a hero like Juggernaut, maybe he can't go for Yasha Diffusal. He might have to go for more HP, like his Manta first before. And like having to build HP items and defensive items on all their heroes to co-op with the Strength, the Shadow Demon, you see in his stash, he has a Bracer right now. Everyone just has to build HP because of this darn Tiny. And because of this, they can't farm, they can't play efficiently at all.
Mid lane DC are going to have mass TPs coming through. Fortification as well. They will hold for the time being. In fact, well, VP, they're coming incredibly close to this. They want to go back in on the side of DC. They have Eclipse on Ramses ready. They have those big team fight ultimates, but again, just proving to be this bit of a stalemate in the mid lane. Where VP are having trouble breaking the high ground, as each and every time DC just come in with their full 5-man.
Daytime's a pretty good time for DC to fight, though. I think nighttime I would be more willing to push if I were VP. Daytime, like the Sand King can just see too much. You want to be able to kill the Chen, I think, is actually the more important hero to kill than the Underlord because of the heal. But at the same time, it's just the Chen. I don't think they can burst the Underlord down. Maybe with like a tri-ultimate with Omni and the Quap Bolt and the Sand King ultimate.
Looking at the Chen as well, this build, that the helmet into the Ags, you kind of talked about this before. You feel
yeah,
the helmet is
a very common,
pretty much staple now in Chen?
Yeah, the HPR is very, very good, and it's like a super creep. It has a little bit more HP and a little bit more move speed, so you can give that to a higher priority creep, like let's say the Centaur who wants to get in the middle of the fight. And it's just a natural item, I would say, on the Chen. It's kind of like a scepter upgrade for your Holy Persuasion. You get 5 instead of 4.
Middle tower is under attack.
Mid lane once again, VP. They should be able to finish off the tower this time. Oh, We Are gets a cheeky deny it. We're going to take a bit of the gold out, away from the pockets of VP. Bottom lane, Rezo finding the space to pressure onto a tier 1 himself. But already starting to back up a little bit. Look at the illusions out. They've got to be careful though. No one now with that Shadow Blade. Extra pick-off potential, as he will get that sent out and potentially begin to move around the map even more.
Nighttime is a very bad time for DC too. Like Sand King can't see any heroes to get his ultimate off, and this is also why I think like Luna's incredibly strong. You just feel so much stronger during nighttime. You don't even need Observer Wars to have that vision advantage, and people are forced to feel even more scared. Queen of Pain, he had BKB in his quick buy before. Now thinking about the Orchid, I'm not sure which one he's going to go for. He's sitting on a hefty amount of gold. BKB it's very defensive, and it's good if you're scared about the Tiny, but he's not actually dying in these fights, probably because of his HP build, but he's also concerned that he can't kill anyone. So this is where the Orchid is going to come in. If he can maybe, I don't really know who you target with that. I guess maybe the Witch Doctor, even silencing the Chen I think is pretty useful if you're going on one of the other heroes.
22 minutes in, 9 for 10. The pace certainly seems to have slowed down a little bit. Is there a side that you feel that this favors more in terms of kind of dragging the game out to a later stage? Is it anyone on kind of more of a timer?
I definitely think Dire's side is looking better because the Luna and the Tiny are going to scale a little bit better. Maybe when Quap hits 25, the later game might change, but I think up until then, they're going to be a little bit better. Wii has an invisibility rune. He also has a dust, so he's hunting for what they want to be the Tiny.
They did come underneath that sentry in the Observer though, so if they had their eyes over there, they should have realized.
They should have seen them.
We'll push in that Ramses, leading the charge, and there's the jump in from Moon. Immediately onto Ramses, turn as well from follow-up from Misery. There'll be the jumping onto the backliners for no one. Can they actually get the kill here? Solo laying down a huge depth ward. We are chucks in a Sonic Wave, but it did manage to bring off the kill onto no one. But at the moment, VP are the ones that are still standing strong in this fight. They take down a second.
No one's even low.
It's, I mean, just the heals, the mech, the pipe, the amount of sustain that this team's got in these fights with the Voodoo as well from Solo.
It was a solo Quap ultimate, I believe, on the Tiny, and then Sand King died. He's going to buy back for this.
He's going to buy back and immediately into the pit here. Moon, he'll go for the Power Strike onto Lil. They will get the Chen, but Moon himself could be in danger. He's hiding himself in the tree line. DC, they need to turn this round, find something big, and they will claim a second kill onto the Underlord. Can they get more? Yes, they can. Ramses tried for the TP out, but the Power Strike from Moon is there. Into the Omni Slash. Ramses trying to turn. Moon building up the epicenter. No messing from this Sand King. Can they get Solo as well? They can't. Solo will be the solo survivor. But everyone else to die then at the end of the day. The buyback from Moon certainly working out.
I think it was a favorable position for VP. They had the Observer Ward up on the high ground and the Sentry, but the problem is Tiny blinked into the backline and just got annihilated by the Queen of Pain. And that was a very good buyback from Moon. TP onto the Shrine. He almost died a second time, but I think even if he had died, it's worth it to kill the Luna.
Absolutely. Big plays from Moon, and with those kills in tow as well, he's about 2/3 of the way towards that Aghanim Scepter.
I'm a little surprised to see him go for the Scepter. I think a lot of the problem is he's just sitting in Root, and Root is very problematic for thinking with the new changes. You can't Burrow Strike out, and if you Sandstorm, they still see you. So I think, I mean, Yules is also like not that great too. I don't really know how to deal well with the Pit of Malice.
Could he have gone straight for kind of a BKB after the Blink Hood? Or maybe a BKB instead of the Hood? Or do you feel that the Hood is just such a value item against this lineup, against the Burst and the Jump, I guess, of the Tiny?
It's just cheap.
Yeah.
It's a nice and cheap item. That's half the value of BKB. BKB is, I think, decent, but I don't think you want to get it right now. It's a lot of farm that I think would be better. I think a Veil would be way more useful for that amount of gold. It's okay if he dies as long as he gets his damage off.
I mean, kind of looking back as well, still on that net worth, it really is impressive that the Ramses has been able to come back from what really was a disastrous laning stage. Do you feel as a team, VP, they always knew that there was going to be this potential to kind of find these fights, get this involvement with Ramses, or do you feel that they would have been a little bit worried after that early start with the aggression being put on from DC?
As long as Chen farmed up, it would have been okay. If like Chen tried to pressure the lanes and still didn't get any kills after the 5-minute mark, instead of farmed, then I think they would have been in a way worse spot. But because he got HOD, like he can actually just farm a lot more camps and just be more imposing around the map and actually farm up his Scepter. That new creep is also very nice for him to persuade. Who will win the next match?
64% DC. I mean, that does that surprise you there? That it is kind of 2/3 against the third of VP?
I think DC have had a way stronger showing in this tournament than VP.
Yeah, VP, they have had their ups and downs, and definitely down with that match against New
DC are
for
way
sure.
more consistent.
That's true. Yeah, DC have certainly seemed to turn up to this land. That victory, of course, over Wings, making them feel very, very good, and understandably so with some top plays.
And DC also had the added threat of the Meepo.
Yeah.
I think they have a draft
and the Misery
advantage against a lot
Pudge.
of teams,
I mean, you got to be worried about that if you're going up against DC. That's what you saw. Misery just blowing us all away with his Pudge performance the other day.
And I don't think that VP have a trump card in their drafting. It's not like, you know, something like Sniper or Juggernaut. It's like an instant win for them, or a very high percentage, more than 50.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, kind of in the past, they did, I guess, with kind of the newer stuff that they were trying, like the Lil Weaver. That would always kind of catch people off guard, but now that's kind of been adapted by a lot of other sides. It certainly doesn't have the kind of surprise potential that it had in the past. It'll always be fun to see Lil pick up the Pudge. It's something that we know he's very, very, very good in. And as Misery's shown us how relevant this hero can be in this meta.
I wonder how sad he was when Visage got nerfed.
Yeah, poor old Visage. He had about, what, a week in a perfect place. Well, no, I say perfect, in a broken place. And then he was shut back.
Doesn't he have like 1,000 games on Visage or something?
Something ridiculous like that. He really does.
I can't imagine playing Visage 1,000 times.
You're not a fan of the Visage?
That hero's stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.